A few months ago, I made a deal with you guys. That deal was, if you guys got me to 1,000 subscribers, I would make a full how to scream video, vocal tutorial, whatever you want to call it, for all of you guys that have helped me reach this status on YouTube. Because I have been getting a lot of questions, a lot of requests on making videos like this. I was supposed to do it like last year sometime, but I never really got around to it, so I made a deal with you guys that if you got me to 1,000 subscribers, I would do this video for you. So, the other day, we finally broke 1,000. Now it's my turn to give back to you guys for giving back to me so much, so here you go. Okay, first things first. The idea of screaming has absolutely nothing to do with your throat at all. Nothing. You do nothing with your throat. It all comes from the diaphragm. And if you don't know what your diaphragm is, it's basically the muscle that's like right here, right in the middle of your torso. It's right above your stomach here. If you don't know where your diaphragm is and you still can't really figure it out, the best way that I teach people how to find out where their diaphragm is to just exhale quickly, like through your nose. Exhale just a little bit, very quickly, like this. That little tension, that contraction that you feel right here, that is your diaphragm. That is the key to all the screams that I do. Fry, false chord, gutturals, everything. That is the key to the entire idea. If you do not use your diaphragm and you're using your throat, you will hurt yourself. Another thing before I go any further that I must say, do not do inhale screams. If you're doing inhale screams, you will not have a voice, because that is very bad to do, and it can damage your vocal cords, and it will damage your vocal cords in the long run. So do not do inhale screams. So to get started, we'll just start off with the basis of how to get an unprojected growl. The main idea of this, of all the screams really, is to completely relax everything in your throat. You relax all the muscles, just don't tense anything, just like you're talking normally. You're not making any contractions with your throat. It has nothing to do with your throat at all. It all comes from right here. So relax everything in your throat, and the best way that I can teach people how to do this part, how to do the main basis of it, the unprojected growl, or for lack of a better term, the rumble, is basically just a sigh. Here's a scenario, like you just come home from school, or you're coming home from work, or you're just really tired. Say that like you forgot to do something that you were supposed to do, or you forgot to do some assignment and it's really late, and you're just like, you don't want to do it, you're just real exasperated. So that noise right there, the comes from the diaphragm. That is not coming from up here. The only thing that your throat is used for is for where the air comes out of and for the pitch. All the rest of the control comes from right here in the diaphragm. So to make that sigh, just sigh, go and once you get that down, put just a little bit of force on it and make it a little bit louder. That is the basis of a growl. And while you're doing that, do not tense anything in your throat. I cannot stress that enough. Do not tense anything in your throat whatsoever. That is how you create a growl and a mid. The high scream technique is a little bit different. I'll get to that later. Right now we're just focusing on growls and mids. To get the unprojected growl, how I started out when I started doing false chord, is basically that sigh, but it's forced out just a little more. What I ended up with was that's the kind of growl that I had, just and to me it didn't sound very good. It took me a long time to learn how to do this correctly, but that is actually the correct start of how to do false chord. It may take you days, it might take you hours, it might take you weeks or months to master this part. Take that sigh and just practice it. Just practice going practice that. Eventually you will end up taking little, almost like stepping stones, getting more projected and more projected with it. So you'll start out with just and maybe then you'll go and then eventually you'll be able to do this. And a mid is basically just the same exact thing as a growl, just at a little bit of a higher pitch. Here's the low, high, there's the mid. So what you need to do to get the mid is just raise your pitch just a little bit more. So my normal growl is and my mid is It's just at a higher pitch than a growl. It's the same exact technique. That sigh that I talked about earlier, that can transform into yo or row. The high scream is the same exact technique, but it's at a higher pitch. And I tried to explain this to my one friend the other day. He came over, and he wanted me to show him a couple of things. So to do the high scream, the way I explained it to him was it's almost like talking in a higher pitch with the same technique as a false chord growl. So if you're talking in a higher pitch, like I'm not going to do it because I'll sound really stupid, but if you're talking in a higher pitch, sort of like Mickey Mouse or SpongeBob or a cartoon like that, and you put that pitch into the same technique as a growl, your growl would be oh, mid would be oh, and a high would be yeah. Same thing, same diaphragm technique, and it's just at the higher octaves, a higher pitch. So one more time. Oh, oh, yeah. If you need more help with this after this video is over, message me or add me on Facebook, and I'll try to clear it up for you as best as I can. The name of this technique is false chord, unless I haven't said that already. False chord, in my opinion, is way more diverse than fry. Fry, you can only do lows, mids, and highs. With false chord, you can do lows, mids, highs, gutturals, pig squeals, gang shouts, anything. You can do basically anything you want with a false chord technique, as long as you master it. And it will take you a long time to master this. This is my 4th year doing this kind of thing, well, almost 4 years. Don't expect that you're just gonna pick up this technique and watch this video one day and a week later be the same level that I am, or like a professional level, or, you know, don't expect to be like way up here when you first start, because it just doesn't happen that way. I thought that when I first started out, and it did not happen. And as I mentioned before, when you're first starting out, you will get a very unprojected rumble growl, sort of like what the old Asking Alexandria songs kind of sounded like. He had that rumble. You know, he didn't have a real projected roar. He had that rumbly kind of growl. So what you're going to want to do with that, once you get that rumbly growl, you do not want to project as hard as you can first. That will completely screw up your vocal cords, and you will not have very happy days. What you want to do is learn control and not force. You want to learn how to control your diaphragm, that muscle that I mentioned right here. Learn to control that, and learn to control the rumbly growl. Work at your own pace at that. That will take you a while, and maybe it might not. It might take you a couple of days to learn that, but it will not take you a couple of days to learn the entire thing. And another aspect I must mention to you guys, if it hurts when you're doing this, stop. That's all you gotta do. Just stop and wait a couple of days. Just work at your own pace. Do it every couple of days, and you will eventually get it. And make sure you drink a lot of water. Don't do any of that citrusy stuff or acidic drinks, like, as much as I hate to say it, root beer, because that's like my favorite drink. Pepsis or sodas or like orange juice or a lot of like acidy stuff or energy drinks or anything like that. Don't drink that kind of stuff when you're doing this, because that will dry your throat out a lot. I did that before, and it actually hurt when I screamed, so I had to stop. Just stick with plain water. Contrary to the popular idea that people say when they explain how to scream, in my opinion, it does not matter what temperature the water is that you're drinking. A lot of people say drink warm water. Some people will say drink hot water, which I don't understand because that's going to burn your throat. But what I do, I just grab a bottle of water out of the fridge, literally ice cold. That actually helped me more than drinking warm water did, in my opinion. That just like cleared out all the phlegm in the back of my throat, and I was just ready to go. So it honestly does not matter what kind of water you're drinking, as long as it's just water. Okay, now we'll just get into it. First step, make sure you're warmed up. Once you figure out how to do the growls, how to do the mids, and how to do the screams, just find your own warm-up pace, find your own routine to warm up to. A lot of people ask what I do when I warm up. What I basically do, I take the No Time to Bleed album by Suicide Silence. I warm up to Wake Up, Something Invisible, and Wasted. And that is basically my 3 warm-up songs. Some days I'll just do like almost the whole album if I want to really get warmed up, like if I'm gonna do like the talent show that I did, or if I know that I'm going to be doing it for a while, I like to do wake up, lifted, smoke, something invisible, wasted, and disengage. So that's my warm-up, if you guys are wondering. Find like your own pace and find your own routine of what you want to do to warm up. And do not expect to be at your best until you're completely warmed up. Because if you only warm up for maybe like 5 minutes or maybe even 10 minutes, or like if you cut yourself short on your warm-ups, you're not going to sound at your best. You're not going to be completely warmed up, and you're going to sound sort of weird when you're not completely warmed up like that. So make sure whatever routine you make sure you go completely through with it before you do any covers or before you start screaming for a while, because the more you warm up, the better off you're going to be. Okay, you've made it this far into the video, so I'm going to show you some more interesting things and some of my secrets that I know of how to scream. Okay, first I showed you the growls, the mids, and the highs. A lot of people have been asking me about pig squeals. Yes, I can pig squeal, but I don't do it very often because I have to be like really warmed up to do it. But basically what that is the same technique as the growl once you learn all the projections and stuff. Don't get me wrong, don't try this when you're just starting out. This is for the more advanced guys. To pig squeal, it's basically your normal projected growl, your normal projected low. Some people say to say brie when you're pig squealing. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Basically what it is just a growl, except you're saying something with an E in it. That's basically what pig squeals are. The next secret of mine that I was going to tell you guys is what I like to call the tongue trick. I was taught this trick by a guy on YouTube with the username VokillCovers. His name is Chris Breezy. He's one of my many mentors. And he actually taught me this one time. Basically what the tongue trick is the same thing as a growl, but you basically put your tongue in different positions in your mouth to create more like brutal lows, almost like Whitechapel-ish lows, or I Declare War lows, or just gutturals in general. So basically what you do, it's kind of hard for me to explain, but I'll just explain it the way he did to me. Say that this is the bottom of your mouth here. And like this is the roof of your mouth. You want your tongue to be pointed up like this. But curl your tongue back. It'll be like on the roof of your mouth, or just curled up, not touching the roof of your mouth. It's all a bunch of different positions. So what you're gonna want to do, you're gonna take the growl technique and flip your tongue up. So a normal growl would be, and with the tongue trick, then you can just basically put your tongue in different positions in your mouth. What I like to do, there's like 3 different places that I put it. One is just right up against the middle of the roof of my mouth, which is basically what I just did. Or you can put it sort of like behind your teeth and do the same thing. My third way to do it, put your tongue all the way back in your mouth and kind of like compress it and sort of like squeeze it together against the roof of your mouth. That's just my 3 tongue trick ideas. If you want to learn how to scream like a specific person, pick like whatever vocalist from whatever band that you want to sound like. Like if you want to sound like Phil Bozeman from Whitechapel, listen to his stuff and try to imitate what he does. And by the way, he does the same exact techniques that I just showed you. He does false chord. Or if you want to sound like a Fry vocalist, Austin Carlisle from Of Mice and Men, or Randy Blythe from Lamb of God. Don't pick a vocalist from a band that you may like, but you know isn't that great of a vocalist. Like, don't pick Danny Warsnop or Andy Six. Don't pick like a vocalist like that. Pick somebody that you know can do a lot of diverse stuff with their vocals. So a couple good role models would be Mitch from Suicide Silence, Phil Bozeman from Whitechapel. Jamie Hanks from I Declare War is absolutely insane. I love that guy's vocals. Like I said, Austin Carlisle from Of Mice and Men, Alexi Laiho from Children of Bodom, Kyle Gunther from Battlecross is really good. Some guys that are on YouTube that you can probably find. David Zaitama from Elementalist, although Elementalist broke up a little while ago. His username is David Sky. He used to be Sinclair of Despair, if you guys know that username. Ian Bear from Rings of Saturn. He is Brutal Scream 669 on YouTube. Or my good friend Chris Breezy. His username is VokillCovers. You've probably seen him before. All those guys are really good role models for screaming. They can do a ton of things, and a lot of those guys have actually taught me a lot. Okay, I got two more things for you. One is I have to clear up this common misconception: false chord versus fry technique. A lot of people think false chord screaming is fry screaming, or fry screaming is false chord screaming. It's not. It's two completely different techniques. False chord is what I just showed you guys. All that stuff that I was just talking about, all false chord. Fry technique is basically based on a register of and that's amplified from the diaphragm into a scream. And you can kind of tell the difference between vocalists if they're doing false chord or fry. This is going to sound stupid, but false chord has more of like a AH sound, like an ah. You know, like if somebody's screaming, they go, yeah! Or, yo! You know, they get the O sound, oh! But if they're doing fry, it kind of sounds like an ah type of a thing. Austin Carlisle, he does that type of vocals. That's the difference between that. If you guys want a fry tutorial, ask me. I'll probably do one anyway at some point later. There's one more thing that I have to talk about, and it's one of my biggest secrets that a lot of people have been asking me. The way I do power fry is I combine false chord and fry scream. So what you want to do for that, you take the positioning in your throat of a fry scream, which is basically the same thing as what I was just talking about, that you take that noise and amplify it with a diaphragm push, you won't get a fry scream. But to do my power fry highs, take that positioning of your throat, but do a high fry with the force of a false chord scream, and I'll just show you the difference between the two. The false chord high for me is yeah! My fry high is rah! My power fry is this. Yeah! That's fry and false chord combined. That's it for this video. If you guys have any more questions, inbox me or message me on Facebook, add me on Facebook. If you know how to ask the questions in like what way, then I can probably answer them very easily. Or if you want me to do like a fry tutorial, I'll do that for you. I hope this helped you guys out. Thank you once again for the 1,000 subscribers, and keep them coming. Talk to you guys later.